The One Piece community is losing its mind again. Luffy has done it, he's asked another person to join the Straw Hat Pirates. And this time, it's not just anyone, it's Loki, the cursed prince of Elbaf. But could this actually happen? Could the future king of the giants really set sail with Luffy and the crew? What would his role even be, and how could someone that enormous ever fit on the Sunny? Today, we're diving deep into that question, exploring every possibility, theory, and clue about Loki's fate and whether he could ever become an official Straw Hat. So, grab a drink, drop a like, and let's set sail, because this theory might just surprise you. Let's start with the facts. During the Elbaf arc, Luffy meets Loki, who at this point is literally chained down, imprisoned and shunned by his own people. He's being held by Houghton and the other giants, and it's clear that something is seriously wrong. Despite that, Luffy being Luffy, sees the good in him. So, in typical Luffy fashion, he asks the most unexpected thing possible. Wanna join my crew? Luffy's logic, as always, is chaotic but strangely pure. He thinks if Loki becomes a Straw Hat, then the giants will respect him too. They'll have to forgive him. In other words, make him one of us, and the rest will follow. It's naive, but it's also the exact kind of faith that has changed the world again and again. Still, Loki declines, which makes sense. We're still early in the arc, before whatever major event is going to reshape Loki's character and his role in Elbaf's story. It's almost certain we'll see a transformation from cursed prince to something greater. But before we dream of Loki waving the Straw Hat flag, we need to address one massive problem. Literally. Let's be honest. Loki isn't just big. He's make the thousand sunny his sandal big. Even compared to other giants, Loki stands apart. If Hadrudden could lift the sunny over his head like a toy ship and he only reaches Loki's knee, then we have a serious logistical issue here. It's not like Loki could just sit cross-legged on deck and chill next to Chopper. The sunny would snap in half before Nami could even scream. Sure, we've seen big characters on ships before. The Blackbeard pirates have San Juan Wolf, the so-called colossal battleship. But even then, Wolf's existence is more of an anomaly than a practical example. The man literally floats next to the ship, not on it. So unless Luffy suddenly commissions 1,000 Sunny Max, there's no physical way Loki could fit aboard. That is, unless someone, or something, changes his size. Now this is where things get weird. There's a certain owl, known as Biblio, who resides within Elbaf's great library, and she has a very peculiar ability. Her devil fruit allows her to enlarge inorganic objects, books, furniture, maybe even ships. But here's the catch. That's the opposite of what we'd need for Loki. We'd need the ability to make organic life smaller. Still, it's worth remembering that devil fruits aren't always as limited as they seem at first. Think back to Shinobu's fruit from Wano. At first, it was said she could only rot or mature things, not humans. Yet, she ended up aging Momonosuke into an adult form anyway. So could Biblio's power also evolve? Could it somehow be used in reverse or on living beings? It's possible. And considering the strange way that owl is portrayed, those human-like eyes, the unsettling aura, it feels like Biblio is hiding something important. The library itself is in flames now, and that can't be a coincidence. Something about Biblio will matter later, I guarantee it. But there's another wild card on Elbaf, Vegapunk himself. The man who has defied logic, created holographic food printers, and literally split his brain into 6 personalities is now right here on the island of giants. If anyone could build a machine or use science to alter size, it's him. We already know Vegapunk's research connects to lineage factors and possibly even the fundamental laws of devil fruits. So if he's on Elbaf, and Luffy wants Loki to join, maybe Vegapunk could make that possible. Imagine a moment where Luffy's plea inspires Loki to change and Vegapunk provides the how. A size adjustment device, or a fruit modification, or something entirely new. It would fit perfectly within One Piece logic, friendship, science, and faith merging into one miracle solution. Before we jump to the conclusion, we need to talk about Loki himself, because his character is unlike anything we've seen in One Piece so far. From birth, Loki was cursed. Even as a child, he had serpent-like eyes, marking him as different, as something unnatural. In the world of giants, that was enough to make him an outcast. But here's the thing, Loki didn't just inherit a curse. He was born into it, possibly connected to an ancient bloodline. Maybe even something related to Joy Boy's era. There's a huge mural shown in Elbaf, one that depicts ancient giants alongside Joy Boy and Nika. Among them stands a figure who looks almost identical to Loki. The same armor, the same massive helm, even the same aura of tragedy. But there's a key difference. That ancient warrior carries a spear, while Loki wields his hammer, Ragnarok. That tells us it's not Loki himself, but his predecessor. Perhaps his ancestor, a warrior who once stood beside Joy Boy. This parallel can't be a coincidence. Oda is clearly drawing a line between the past and the present, between the ancient age of the sun god and the current era of Luffy. So maybe Loki's curse isn't a punishment, but a remnant of something divine. A legacy of power that's been misunderstood. Now that we've looked at the lore, let's come back to the question. Could Loki actually become a Straw Hat? On one hand, Luffy's invitation can't be ignored. He's asked tons of people to join before, sure, from Crocus to Iceberg, from random zombies to literal trees. But usually, it's a gag. This time, it felt different. Luffy didn't just say it as a joke. He smiled, hands on his hips, radiating that trademark warmth, and said it like he meant it. He already saw Loki's true nature. Even while chained, even while cursed, Luffy saw someone good, someone with a strong heart. It's the same instinct that made him recruit Robin, or even trust Law in the first place. That's what makes this moment special. It wasn't comedy. It was compassion. Let's not forget Yamato. Her situation was similar. She asked Luffy to join, instead of the other way around. Luffy immediately said yes, only for her to later change her mind and stay behind in Wano to follow Odin's journey first. So the question isn't just who does Luffy ask, but when and why. Timing matters. The Straw Hats can't just keep adding members endlessly. Every addition must serve the story's purpose. If Loki is meant to be part of that final journey, to Laugh Tale, to the ultimate war, then maybe his role isn't as a crew member, but as something even bigger. A leader. A symbol. Let's think realistically. Imagine the current Straw Hat lineup. Now add a mountain-sized giant next to Brook and Chopper. Even if he were shrunk, it doesn't quite fit. The Straw Hats are all specialists, each with a role that serves the ship. Loki doesn't seem like a navigator, cook, or helmsman. He's a warrior, a king in the making. That's why I believe Loki won't become a crew member, but rather a key ally. Someone who fights alongside Luffy, just like Law and Kid once did, but who represents the giants in the final war. A commander of his people, standing shoulder to shoulder with the Straw Hats, not under them. And narratively, it makes perfect sense. If Hadrudin becomes the new ruler of Elbaf, a half-blood giant leading with compassion and equality, that echoes one of Oda's strongest themes. It doesn't matter what blood runs through your veins. You define your own destiny. That lesson has repeated through every arc, and it fits beautifully here. But there's one more twist. Recently, it was revealed that Emu, the mysterious ruler of the world, may have gained control over entire races or armies. Some even speculate that the giants have been marked or enslaved by Emu's power, allowing them to be teleported or manipulated. If that's true, then Elbaf is in serious danger. And who better to lead their liberation than Loki, the cursed prince once chained by his own people, now fighting to free them from the control of the gods? Imagine the symbolism. Loki, standing side by side with Luffy, leading the giants to invade Mary Geos, the world's greatest fortress, in a final war that shakes the heavens. It's the perfect redemption arc, not just for Loki, but for the entire giant race. So after all that, here's my honest answer. I love Loki. He's one of the best designs Oda's ever given us, fierce, proud, and just the right amount of chaotic energy. He feels like someone destined for greatness. But if I'm being real, I don't think he'll officially join the crew. He's too powerful, too large, and narratively, his story belongs to Elbaf, to the giants, not the Sunny. He'll fight alongside Luffy, no doubt. He'll share in the Straw Hats' final battle, probably even sail briefly with them. But when the dust settles, he'll return home, not as a cursed prince, but as the giant king who finally found his freedom. That doesn't mean his role ends there. Remember, One Piece isn't just about the Straw Hats. It's about the world they change along the way. Every ally, every kingdom, every person they've inspired, that's part of their true crew. So in a way, Loki will become a Straw Hat. Not by wearing the hat itself, but by carrying its spirit. And maybe, when Luffy reaches Laugh Tale and the final dawn rises, Loki and the giants will be there, raising their weapons to the sun. That would make him part of the story forever. Not just as a giant, not just as a prince, but as one of Luffy's brothers in the great age of freedom. So, what do you think? Will Loki actually join the crew or stand beside them as a king among giants? Drop your thoughts below. I'm genuinely curious how you all see this one playing out. And if you enjoyed this dive into Elbaf and Loki's future, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more One Piece theories, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next voyage. Until then, keep dreaming of the One Piece.